So you are?
I'm Oscar Gutierrez, City Council member for Santa Barbara.
And what do you think of District 216?
It's pretty interesting. The social club invited me to come get educated about the subject of psychedelics because I don't really know anything about it. I don't have any experience with it. So they've let me know that other cities around the country have decriminalized psychedelics, and they're asking whether our city would be interested in it. And I told them I didn't know much about it, so they invited me to this event to hopefully educate me a bit so that maybe I can speak to my colleagues about it.
So you've been to a few events now?
This is, I think, my second event, but the first one was more of a lecture, but this is definitely more of an event.
They have a Wednesday lecture and
right.
a marquee event twice a month.
Yeah, exactly.
People seem pretty reasonable here?
Yeah, I've definitely, I've been to bars that have been pretty shady places, and I wouldn't describe this at all as shady at all. It's very open and very kind and just like energetic and supportive. It's really interesting. I haven't been to anything like it before.
And what do you want to do on State Street?
Oh, on State Street? Well, we're trying to get as many perspectives as possible to meet somewhere in the middle, you know.
Do you have an opinion of anything yet?
Well, I personally like that it's close to cars, but we do have to address the fact of the bicyclists and the pedestrians issue, and then somehow to be able to move the elderly and the disabled up and down State Street. Those issues are kind of the big ones that we're trying to negotiate through right now.
Okay, well, nice. Any other messages for the folks out in TV land?
No, just be open-minded and don't be afraid to talk to people about controversial things because you never know on what points you might agree upon.
And as I always do, I'll say, well, that was a good rehearsal, Cheryl.
That was great. Thank you.
Telephone, but okay, what's going on?
Well, we're here at the incredible quarterly meeting or gathering or whatever you want to say of District 216. This is amazing, and this is coming from a fellow organizer. We just had our big event. I don't know if you can see that. That was Awakening 2023. It was a much bigger event, but this District 216 is nothing like it as far as I'm concerned in terms of connecting the psychedelic community. And the Psychedelic Institute of Los Angeles, which I'm the CEO of, is dedicated to the same values of education and healing and community. And that's why we're here and meeting everybody and getting engaged, and we'll find some speakers that we just heard maybe come and speak at our event. It's collaborative work to change the world. That's what's going on in the psychedelic world. It's pretty simple. We got to work together.
Yes.
And everything else will take care of itself. You know, it's just simple. Just stay on point, stay on mission, and it's all going to roll out through all the bumps that we're going to hit, and they're actually hitting right now.
Are you a psychonaut?
I like to explore consciousness in all of its forms. I think that ultimately it's a hard work of attention and not the psychedelics. And that's what I preach, and that's what the Psychedelic Institute is about. We're about the integration process. How do you take that divine experience and now bring it into daily life? That's a whole game. So, yeah, we're absolutely thrilled that the world is turning on to psychedelics, but the work itself really begins after. Each and every psychedelic experience, however often you have it, doesn't matter.
Do you want to give your name and contact info again?
Absolutely. It's Paul Karasik, and I'm CEO of the Psychedelic Institute.
Let me see that. Okay, yeah.
Psychedelic Institute, Los Angeles. And if you want to get in touch with us, just please go to our website, which is now the event site. It's psychedelic-awakening.com. Psychedelic-awakening.com. And you'll have all of our contact info.
Hey, nice chatting with you.
Thank you. Bye. What are you going to do with that?
The way that the CBN works is going to help you to sleep and
Well, and you are?
I'm Mike Wall, one of the founders of District 216.
What should we expect tonight?
Tonight's going to be an amazing night about the intersection of sex and psychedelics. We have this incredible panel of these super powerful women in the space. They're going to be sharing how things are changing in understanding our culture, how we talk about sex, how women get appreciated and felt, and what we really can do with that, and how psychedelics help assist in that positive mind change. Really excited.
How does one become a member?
Great question. So we have our District 216 booth here tonight. We've got QR codes that'll let you to sign up. We have a few different levels of membership. You can come out to our big events like this. We have great Wednesday night district houses, and we even have a really, really cheap $15 a month membership that's online only. So you get actually all the great content from our Wednesday night speakers in really cool edited videos online.
And so what are the main pillars of this?
So our whole program here is around art, culture, cannabis, and psychedelics, and we really work on bringing an education level to it. My partner who brainstormed the whole idea here, Jacob, has the idea called edutainment. How do we create an educational experience that's exciting, engaging, and creates emotional connections so people want more? And we so need it in today's society.
Well, nice to see you, Mike.
Nice to see you as well.
I'll come back. I'm selling left.
All right.
So what do you think of District 216?
I think it's a really good another art element that has come into town that is trying to open us up to, you know, a free mind and a free spirit. And I was here when he first started his operation, and you know, I've been thumbs up for him to have something get going ever since. You know, he's put on a few events so far, and each one has been like really good, really professional. Takes a lot of time and energy. He brings in special people from all over. People come up from LA and all over just to come to these events. It's a good asset for Santa Barbara.
Oh, great. Now you've been around. We've been at Fishbone.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the thing here up the street?
SB Cass.
Well, not that, but at Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters and Reds. Clandestino, yeah.
Could you tell me what were some of the other things like this before?
Well, like you mentioned,
They won't hear my voice, so could you just say what was here?
we've had a lot of really, really cool groups that have tried to start up here. Some have made it and some haven't. One of the first was Clandestino, which was an artist collective, and following it, Fishbone was created, and which I'm now president of. But we've been here 15 years and still here, and we're nonprofit right now. There's also SB Cass up the street from here, which is an artist collective where they have live-work facilities. And Fishbone is an artist collective, which is nonprofit. So we've had some pretty cool groups that have come in here, and SB Cass is still here, still hosting artists and having events. Fishbone is still here. Clandestino has moved on or gone back to San Francisco, but yeah, we need more groups like ours.
Okay, well, thank you. And you are?
My name is Ron Glover.
Nice to see you, Ron.
Lucidity.
Oh, Lucidity.
Lucidity is also based out of Santa Barbara, and I'm a director there too, as well.
I think it's a beautiful venue. I love the outdoor. I kind of didn't know what to expect, but yeah, it's gorgeous with all the trees, and I love the multi-level business.
Will you be participating in the program?
I will be, yeah.
What's your name?
My name's Keeney.
And what will you be talking about?
Oh, I'm just here to listen.
Oh, just
Yeah. Participating in an active listening. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Are you talking about us too?
Yeah.
Embodiment activities. So for instance, I'm going to be leading a yoga high cannabis assisted yoga class. That's going to be here. And so that Peace Mafia membership gives me access to all of our classes.
Right. Better than last time.
Exactly. And
I'm hooked up. Oh, okay, what do you got there?
I'm trying to figure out what I have here. It's, I'm guessing it's Cresco.
And is it just a bunch of joints on the table? What's going on?
Well, as far as I know, there's a business card here. I am just learning, like anybody else. This is Golden State,
Golden
Canada.
State, Canada. We're from. It's like a.
Hello. Here we go.
Hi. Sorry,
Hi.
I'm busy.
Okay, so I'm new, and I just picked one of these up and one of your cards, and could you tell me all about it?
So yes, we are from locally. We're from Santa Barbara, but we also have.
Hold on one second.
May I control the shot a little bit?
Yeah.
I can't hear you real well.
Okay, so.
Do you mind doing it again? And so, what's going on here?
So we're Golden State, Canada. We're a local delivery service, but we have other locations. It's just delivery though. But so it's very good prices, cheap for like most people, like whatever price range you're trying to go for. We're very fast and anything else you need.
So what's going on this evening?
So we have 3 different strains tonight. We have the Gorilla Bomb, ice cream cake, and then lemon cherry gelato. We have some of our groovy chews that are edibles, 10 milligrams a piece. They're watermelon lemonade. And we're giving out some pre-rolls and stuff.
And there's just weed, there's product out here to smoke?
Yes.
Can you say that?
So yes, we have tons of weed out here. We have joints and actually rolling joints. We have 3 different bongs and a gravity bong as well tonight.
And what's the deal? Anybody can just pick it up?
As long as you're, old enough, yes, of course.
That's just so nice that having joints laying around.
Right.
Anything else you want to say? Well, what's your contact info?
Our contact, so it's just going to be Golden State Canna, and then first time people can get a $20 off discount. So it'll be great.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Have a good night.
I've known inspected that. So I did that, and then I got into solar, and I was just working from literally the first few months I was just putting the solar panels up. So we're sitting there, and I can't believe how college education give them no one's ever said no. Field engineering. No one's ever said no. Okay, you must say that.
It looks like who's the guy that invented the light bulb?
I don't know. And somebody striding like
Yeah, this one seems like a little too
gets
much.
up one step, gets up the other step. Instructional design. It's like backs down.
Don't go weed hanging out. That all over it.
It was like, couldn't be better.
Okay, I'm gonna go find the way too much.
Hey, can I ask you what you think of the weed lounge here?
Haven't been here long enough to try.
Okay.
Soon.
But it's a fun vibe, huh? People like ourselves.
I will. Next time I got it.
Good time just smoking a doobie at District 216, huh? Good times.
There's an open pack right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just opened that pack. Yeah, help yourselves. They're 10 milligrams. So yeah, you know, if you know your don't take 2 or 3 at a time. I mean, if you want to, that's fine.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a liquor rep and he represents
Hey,
a company called.
so what do you got going on here?
We're Golden State Cannabis. We are recreational and medical delivery here in Santa Barbara. We also do bulk sales on flower. So we have our own gummies here. These are called Groovy Chews, and we have several different strains.
What are they called?
These are Groovy Chews. Yeah, they're quick reacting, 10 milligrams. There's 100 milligrams per pack. Yeah, these are phenomenal. So they're fast acting. They hit you within about 15 minutes instead of waiting an hour or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and very mellow, really nice. They're really good. And then we have several different
Can you
strains
say
here.
how much they are?
These are, I believe, about 25 on the retail side.
Okay.
So I don't usually mess on the retail side, but yeah, I do bulk distribution. Okay. But yeah, I think they're about 25 a pack. But you can check us out on Weed Maps, and then even you pull us up on Google. We're right at the top on Google. So we're all here: Santa Barbara, Ventura, Goleta. So we do delivery all throughout this area. Yeah. And then this is our delivery cards, and then some of our specials and things like that. Some of the products that we carry. We do carry things, like heavy hitters and all the typical
Is
stuff.
your name of your? It's such a good question. Yeah, go ahead with.
They're really good.
I'm going to re-ask my question, but may I please have a sample?
Yes, absolutely. Help yourself. That's why we're here. Yes.
Yeah, we were traveling, and then it seems like all the good shows we've been to have been on Wednesday.
Hello.
Fabulous. This is the happiest I've been in like over 14 hours. I'm going to improve remarkably.
I suspect you're kind of like me, and eating it doesn't do it.
Old man in a amusement park.
So how'd you
How are you? Wait, I've met you before.
I think, we have met before.
Are these free samples? Yeah, help yourself. Grab a card. Medical and recreational.
What did you ask? Yes, if they're free samples.
Free samples. I don't want to put it to you. Thanks. Cut that. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, you dropped your pen. Yeah, man, go around, help yourself. There's bud all over the place. There's a gravity bong right there, and you have another bong there. There's some joints being rolled. So yeah, it's all this is the Cannabis Lounge, and you guys are more than welcome to partake.
And your name is?
Kelly with Golden State Cannabis.
And your name is?
This is Erica.
Okay. She keeps kind of low key.
Yeah, she kind of has to.
Hi, and you are?
I'm Deepak.
What's going on?
Just here at District 216 during the Marquee event, having a great time giving medicine to the community.
What do you have?
We have psychedelic-based products here, all with psilocin and also with pure-grade MDMA.
And how does one buy it?
Here exclusively at the event tonight, we're taking cash, Venmo, Zelle, or Cash App for your purchase.
And how much does it cost?
Each edible is $30 here. The MDMA-based ones are $60, and the breath spray is $40.
And what's your contact info?
Not on camera.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
What's the name of your company?
Entheo on the packaging. Entheo and The One. 2 different brands.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Am I looking here or at you?
You can look at me.
Okay.
What's going on?
What's going on? We're here tonight at the Marquee event, the Sex and Psychedelics Marquee event for District 216.
And why are you here?
I'm here because I am contributing through the Peace Mafia and the Studio X. I'm holding space upstairs for intimate, authentic relating and dropping people into more intimate connection through touch and conversation. And coming up here soon, in about an hour, I'm going to be holding space for a small group for a sex and relationships workshop.
And what do you want? A workshop for what? Ketamine?
No. Sex and relationships.
Oh, okay, sexual relationships.
Yeah, so I'm going to be leading some breath work, some sounding, a short meditation, and then inviting people into partner practice. That is a fully guided experience around connecting in a new way with perhaps someone that you haven't met before.
Nice. And you are, what's your contact info?
Yeah, I'm Hannah. I'm with the Studio X, and you can find my information at thestudiox.com. Thank you.
So, what do you do?
I'm an intimacy and relationship coach with the Studio X, and we support individuals and couples around expanding their intimacy and their sexuality. So I work with men, women, people in partnership, and single people around building their skill set in navigating intimate relationships, and that starts with your relationship to yourself.
What type of things do you do with them?
I do all sorts of things with my clients, but we really focus on patterning the nervous system to feel safety in open-hearted, intimate space. So we do a lot of nervous system training, utilizing the breath, the body, somatic awareness, and also cultivating sexual chemistry. And that doesn't mean that we're moving forward and being sexual with each other, but we're utilizing arousal and attraction to talk about the discomfort, the comfort, the tension, and learn how to be comfortable interfacing with a woman who you might feel attracted to. And that's a really powerful thing to bring into the real world when you're navigating dating and relating. And for people who are in partnership, we have extensive skill set to offer them in deepening their connection in the bedroom, outside of the bedroom, everywhere in between. So I consider my approach to be initially intellectual and theoretical, but then we come into the body so we can really anchor an embodied understanding of all of that gorgeous information.
Lovely. And your name and contact info again?
My name is Hannah Jo, and I'm with the Studio X, and you can look us up at thestudiox.com. Thank you.
Okay. Wait, is it just me or is it both of us?
No, I'm here to support.
Okay.
But we're going to hear about your experience firsthand.
So what's going on here?
So I just took a little bit of Kana, and it's the blissful. So I'm feeling very blissed out right now. I'm feeling very relaxed.
So I'm Ryan, the founder of Kana Extract Company. If you put your camera down here, this is actually a live Kana plant. So we make pure extracts of Kana, which are great for relaxation, for opening the heart, for feeling good, connecting with others, and
close into the microphone.
Yeah. So we make pure extracts of Kana, and as you can attest, how do you feel?
I feel really relaxed. I feel really connected. It's kind of a gentle, melty kind of feeling. It's just very relaxing.
And so Kana is a 100% legal empathogen, so it's a great entry point for people to explore this world of plant medicines or microdosing with something that is safe, legal, and also very effective.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Show me the product again.
So we have pure extracts.
I'll hold it there and hold it still.
So these contain our pure extract powders.
How do you use them?
Orally or under your tongue.
What was that?
Orally or under your tongue. Yeah. Like you can mix it into a drink, mix it into your coffee in the morning.
Well, thank you very much. Nice to see you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
That was a good rehearsal. Shall we go for it? So, is this your first time?
Yes, this is my first time.
What's your impression so far?
Yeah, I think it's a really great forward-thinking community. I'm very interested in. I've never taken any psychedelics before, but I'm very curious about it because I want to expand my awareness and live a free life. So, yeah. Thank you.
What did you think of the presentation?
I'm going to be totally honest. I was here to take pictures and I didn't catch a lot of it. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you think of District 216?
I've known Jacob and District 216 for about a year and a half now. They are really, really cool people. They put on these great events for Santa Barbara, and they bring attention to something that I think a lot of people don't think about. And I think it's very valuable, so I am a big fan.
And when you say they don't think about being psychedelics and cannabis?
Right. Yeah, just the way that that affects our community, and the fact that there are things about psychedelics that can help people, and I think that people tend to just ignore that.
Nice. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, what's going on here?
We are representing Hempwise. We have a store down on State Street, 1103 State Street.
And the name of the store?
Hempwise.
Can you show me something with Hempwise?
Yes. Socks are all made of a hemp and organic cotton blend. Well, the hats are 100% hemp fabric. We sell lots of CBD. We sell THC products.
CBD.
Lots of different products. All to highlight the many uses of cannabis.
Thanks a lot. Hey, good times here, huh? How's it going?
Well, it's nice.
People are loving it.
All the people, yeah.
What do you think? Are people loving it? They're loving it. What do you have going here? The vendor at the bottom of the steps, I said, I'm going to go smoke a bowl for you guys. And they said, thank you. Now I'm going to go smoke one of them. Is this the smoke a bowl spot? Hello, hello. This is like the center of the universe.
raffle tickets. But for whatever reason, you do not have a chance to visit all 6. There's a woman right here behind us, thank you so much, she's holding up yellow raffle tickets. If you would like to just buy a raffle ticket, if you just want to support, if you just want a better chance of winning a prize, then you can definitely buy one there. 1 ticket is $10 and 3 ticket is $20. All right, what else? Okay, so if you guys don't know, District 216 is a alcohol-free venue. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have delicious drinks tonight. Visit over here, we have Daryl & Co. for Good Bar. They're doing non-alcoholic elixirs. After the panel discussion,
I know the space is like already existing here, but it almost seems like with this crowd, the majority minority percentage is
How you doing? Good. How are you?
Are you guys responsible for all of this?
Yes.
Not me. We'll be back. We're gonna get snacks.
How are you doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. What do you think of this place?
I think it's great. I think there should be a bigger spot.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. Thanks for meeting me.
I mean, if you tip our drivers well enough to drive faster, yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we both like kind of know this little thing for a second, but I would not go.
Is that endorsed by 50 Cent?
If I had like a plan.
The bag there that says 50
It's
Cent.
kind of
Oh,
scary.
yeah, this is
Yeah, like that was just great.
I put that in the Wonder and Wit room, but Maddie and Dana have their something here.
Art gallery for the psychedelic art show hanging inside the gallery inside. We've got Alter Beast Experience Lab and the D-Celery Lightsmith. So lots of all judging these guys, thank you guys so much. We all know that the cool lights make it look cool, right? It always does. And then we have the dynamic math nerd duo Unedited for their psychedelic improvisational projection mapping that you'll get to see when it actually gets dark out here. So that's the first bit of my announcements. I now want to invite up the founder of District 216, Jacob Tell.
Hello, welcome. I'm gonna get set here. Got to do a little dog and pony, always. All right, does everyone know the lay of the land? Cannabis Lounge up there. Say what's up, cannabis people. Hey, Christian Gray up there. We have our tea ceremony lounge upstairs. Check that out. Sponsors all throughout the booths, all throughout the building, and some live art going on as well. I think this might be our biggest marquee event yet. We've had 4. This is our 4th one, so thank you for those of you who have been here before, and a big shout out to anyone new who has yet to be here. And a huge thank you to all the sponsors. We have more sponsors than ever, so really appreciate the community for showing up. Many of them are from San Francisco, Los Angeles, and out of state. So it's been great to see Santa Barbara kind of come together. This topic is really important that we're going to be addressing tonight, sex and psychedelics. I thought it would be a good tie-in to think about what creates good intimacy, which I believe is about active listening and empathy. And so we actually did that here at District 216 with a survey. We asked all of the people that have been coming to events since January, what do you guys want more of? And then also we're doing some screenings, so like documentary film screenings. We had an amazing Israeli filmmaker reach out, and we screened his film, The Trip of Compassion, which was about MDMA therapy for PTSD sufferers. Very powerful film, and I think everyone in the room was so moved that it ended up being like a 45-minute discussion afterwards. Everyone just wanted to stay and process together. So we're trying to create this community. We want to hear from you if there's other ideas that you have. But these are some of the things that we've already implemented based on that. And then also price has been a big, pushback, which I understand. Price is always, especially in this climate. So we've created new membership plans. We actually have 4 membership plans now. And you can go back to the District 216 booth and talk to Cole and Paxson and Andy and everyone back there and Steven about that. And they can show you all of this that you cannot see from your seats. And one of the things that we have are business members. So I wanted to just give a quick shout out to our first business member of District 216, which is Dr. Ramy Drozd of Lucid Therapeutics. A lot of you probably know Ramy and have had some amazing, profound, insightful sessions over there at Lucid. Very proud of Ramy for upgrading his space and moving locations. And so as part of his business membership, I told him, let's include you on the stage and tell everybody that on November 11th, they're going to have a grand opening on their Milpas location. And we have over 20 full hour-plus length content available as part of the memberships. You can go in there if you missed anything here. You can go back and watch it. You can comment on it. You can tell us what you liked and didn't like. Here's an example of that experience. It's pretty awesome. The content's shot beautifully. Thanks to Trevor for that. And Cole is our illustrious host and interviewer, and he's been rocking probably the better part of 20 interviews the last few months. So a lot of great content. So tonight is our 39th event in 8 months. Christian wanted the metric, so I counted. I had to go back through the calendar. I did not have that. It took me a while to figure that out, but this is 39. 4 marquee events, the rest all of the smaller district house ones. And just to give you a visual, because why not? Thank you to Oniricom, my day job, marketing agency, for doing all the graphics and all the communications. Emma Claire, our marketing director, has been very busy with this. As you can see, we've been putting in November as well.
Question.
What?
Is there a copy of this deck available somewhere?
I will make a copy of this deck available to anyone who cares about the PowerPoint, yes. I'm happy to do that. I will send you a PDF even. How's that? Yeah. No, my memory too. I'm with you. Especially if you go and try those mantra gummies. Okay. Last but not least, not only are we into education, we're into advocacy. As many of you who've been around know, we are spearheading a decriminalization initiative. A big shout out to Oscar Gutierrez in the back, City Council member Oscar Gutierrez. He has definitely been a big champion of this. He got us in press in the Independent. He got us coverage. We have momentum. We are moving through the process, as they say. As frustratingly slow of a process as that may be, we're moving through it. And we're working with Larry Norris of Decriminalize Nature in Oakland, who's been here twice to speak. He's an amazing man, and we're using their template framework. To be very clear, we are excluding peyote from the list of entheogens because it is protected. And so it is going to be all of the entheogens sans peyote. The San Pedro will be included, so you can get your mescaline still. You don't need to get it through peyote, unless you're invited in by a tribe. So yeah, we have a petition at the booth if you want to sign, and we've had 2 meetings and 4 more are in the works to be scheduled. And once we have those, we will be getting a date, ideally on the agenda from the City Council, and hopefully we'll have some sob stories or some powerful stories shared at City Hall about psychedelics, mental health, etc. And we'll get this thing passed. We want to add some protections for all of us who are responsibly using these compounds in our daily lives. Nixon's war on drugs has gone too far, so thank you. I'll get off my soapbox in just a second. Cool, so for tonight, our marquee event, I am extremely proud. All 4 of these women are powerhouse experts in their fields, and for them to come together, we're creating something really special. And so you will be meeting them all. I'm excited to hear what they have to say, for sure. And our MC Kat has agreed to wear 2 hats tonight. She will moderate as well. We're gonna have some live music. Thanks to Chris Eula for putting together a killer band. Heads All Happy Hour. I heard the sound check. It's going to be really fun. You guys will love it. And then other than that, thanks to you, thanks to this community. I really appreciate you for showing up, for coming out, for believing that we can make this change, and for having a really good time. So have a blast tonight. Cannabis lounge, art making, I don't know, there's stuff in every little nook and cranny, so be sure to look around. Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you, Jacob. All right. I have a couple more announcements. I know, just a few more, and then we're gonna get started here. The Terpene Lounge, as he was mentioning, Golden State can have the opportunity, first come, first serve. There's gonna be 12 spots for a 30-minute workshop. It is called the Taste of Tantra. And you're gonna have the opportunity to see the transformative power of tantric philosophy to enhance personal growth and cultivate more pleasure in your relationships. It's open to individuals, friends, and couples alike. If you miss it at 9 p.m., there's going to be an after-hours version of it as well. It's going to start at 10, and it's going to go all the way till 11. So if you kind of want to party, and then you want to like kind of kick into some sexy gears, 10 p.m. upstairs. Again, it's going to be first come, first serve. All right. Now the moment we have been waiting for. This particular topic around sex and psychedelics is something that is also incredibly important to me. Psychedelics didn't only transform my life, but they transformed my sex life. They got me out of my head and into my body. I was able to experience my own sensuality and sexuality and intimacy in a way that I never knew possible. I grew up having drinks and honestly having a buzz most of the time when I was sleeping with people completely disconnected from that experience. And as psychedelics came into my life, I got to see that I was missing out on a whole lot of pleasure and so much more that the sexual experience can offer. So it is my pleasure to now introduce our panelists. Ladies, come on up. Come on up. Give them a round of applause, please. Give them a round of applause. All right. She's a licensed psychotherapist specializing in sex, trauma, and psychedelics. She's also a ceremonialist, combo facilitator, author, teacher of yoga, and an international speaker. As an expert and published researcher on the topic of sex, Dr. Kat sees clients in her private practice office in Beverly Hills and leads workshops, lectures, and retreats internationally. Kat, welcome.
I'm talking into my water. I don't think that's gonna help. Yeah.
Next, we are with Michaela De La Maico. She's a mother, an entheogen educator, a womb care practitioner.
Support access to psychedelics. Steph, welcome.
I think we should start with our whys. I think it's a good place to begin about why we want to be here, why talking about this topic of sex and psychedelics is so important. So, why do you feel that the topic of sex and psychedelics is so important for us to talk about? Kat, why don't we start with you?
I will. Okay. So many of us have a challenging relationship with sex. You know, whether it has been the messages from our culture that don't do this, but do this, but be sensual, but don't be too sensual, or this is what it means to be a masculine, or this is what it means to be feminine, but don't do this because that's weird, right? And so we've grown up with these hard messages, and we've grown up with experiences that were distressing or traumatizing. And then we try to relate with another human, or we try to relate with our own bodies, and we can have a difficult time. You know, whether it's functioning or whether it's even just having the desire for sex, or it's the ability to touch our own body in a way that's pleasurable, or it's learning how to sync up with another person. And so psychedelics really help us to both reveal some of these blocks that have inhibited us, what sex is. And I'm sure is created by eroticism, by sex, by this reproduction. And we can be turned on by everything. And we can self-source our own arousal. And we don't have to keep outsourcing it to some hot dude or some hot chick, and I'll be giving you some practices to be able to do that. Yay, fun! But we can also help to step away from this construct that is actually pretty broken and contributes to these dysfunctions. We don't have to have an erect penis to have the most insane type of sex. We don't have to chase an orgasm to melt into pleasure and how it moves us, really allowing pleasure to be our compass instead. And that is some of the most satisfying sex that I've ever had. And so psychedelics remind us of that, and they can help to move those blocks to help us get there.
Beautifully said. Michaela, what about you?
Shay, I mean, I feel like she pretty much, it's a wrap after that, but what really resonated with me about your share was that we live in a sensual world, and I come from a framework of constantly questioning my beliefs and where they come from. Who taught me that sex needed to be these things, or have such rigidity, or that genders need to express themselves in these really limited ways. And I found a lot of liberation by decolonizing my life ways and indigenizing my life ways. And I claim deeply that everyone in this room has ancestors that experienced extreme pleasure in their lives. And that pleasure was almost a scary thing to dominating powers. To separate a person and a people from their pleasure is definitely a form of control. So within psychedelics, I just feel, as I was beginning my journey 9 years ago, as a young person in college, liberation at every cellular level, mental, emotional, through dance, through singing, through wild orgasmic experience, that I was healing my ancestral line of them maybe being removed from that process, and my descendants now being able to experience pleasure, our descendants and the descendants of everyone on this planet deserves pleasure in the deepest way. And I definitely proclaim that pleasure is our birthright, and sex and experience of the sensuality of nature is how the greatest peoples of the planet experienced their human lives, and created with the beauty and the aesthetics of nature as models and guides. So I just want to remember and help us all remember that we are human animals, that we're very human animals. And with mushrooms in particular, I feel more animal, I feel feral, I feel divine and meat and flesh and bone. So why I'm here and why is it so important? Because pleasure is a liberatory process, and we are so deserving of it in every way. And non-sexual pleasure, sensory pleasure, softness. I speak in a lot of spaces where it's mostly BIPOC and Black people and people of color, and I just see my brothers and sisters living in such tough environments that softness is not always available to them, hardly ever in this world. And so I really love to invite just greater softness, ease, and joy. I remember when I was in Detroit at the Detroit Psychedelic Conference, and they have a Women in Entheogens conference, and I just impromptu brought some MDMA with me, and there's like maybe 15 people there, and of those 15 people, like 6 of them had never tried MDMA before, and so I made this beautiful batch of tea, and I held the space for them, and I watched black men, like, with their eyes closed, just smile, just like this, and be really slow and really soft, and touch black women, and be really slow and really soft, and breathe together, and just holding space for a group of people in that way. There's no monetary exchange, it's just how we show love to each other, is what I really miss about psychedelics, is just holding space for each other so that we can feel good and soft and liberated. So that's why I'm standing here right now, because I've just borne witness to the incredible process that people have when they just touch indigenous, ancestral pleasure and softness, and the impact it can make in their lives. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Steph?
Sex is so intricately woven into the human experience, yet in this society that we live in, we have created barriers where it's shameful to ask questions, or it's shameful sometimes to share about difficulties, traumatic experiences that we might have felt and dealt with in our lives. How can something that allowed for all of us to be here, to procreate, to feel, to enjoy, be so stigmatized? So growing the conversation in a space like this one that's safe, that's trusting, that's responsible is so important, because yes, we are all entitled to that liberation, to the pleasure, like you mentioned. Nature is beautiful, nature is sensual, but many of us might not have that relationship with sex. Many people have experienced trauma in their lives. Many people may have different health issues that now they cannot experience that pleasure. There are obstacles. And if that information is not readily available, if they don't feel like there's a safe place to go and ask those questions, what now? How do we feel that pleasure again? How do we feel that liberation once more? And I'd love to give an example, because I worked many years in the ICU and I saw many patients with head injury, and what a lot of people don't talk about is there's a whole hormonal derailment after a head injury. And so many patients, a year or two out, are coming with these questions of, how do I heal this part of my trauma? And many specialists don't know, because it's just not an area that people are invested or interested in, that people are not funding. And I found more and more that plant medicines, medicinal herbs, and psychedelics are accompanying people on a journey where they are able to heal these imbalances, these issues, and find that sexual liberation, that enjoyment again. And this goes beyond just mood and sleep and stress. This is fertility, this is libido, this is sustaining an erection, achieving orgasm, things that maybe for some of you are easy every day, once a week, whatever it is. And for some people, it's years where they just think that it'll never happen again. So, all in all, I'm trying to say that being here today, I applaud everyone who is here. I applaud those who put this together, because these are important topics, and we need to continue growing this conversation.
Man, listening to the three of you, I just thought, this is a fucking good panel. Like, damn, ladies, really, like, it could be a whole conference. I mean, days, all three of you, I was like, wow. All right, so, Steph, staying with you now, how can psychedelics enhance our sex lives? And how does it differ from something like alcohol? I think a lot of us know sex and alcohol, right? That's the way that we get comfortable being with the opposite sex, especially if you're new to them. But what about the psychedelic experience is the liberation you ladies are talking about?
I think intention behind everything is so important. So ask yourself the question, why are you drinking? What are you trying to achieve? Is it high vibe? Are you present with yourself and the people around you? Are you engaged? Or are you trying to hide behind a veil, a wall, and dissociate yourself from who you really are so that you feel more comfortable in a social setting, or you feel more comfortable handling a stressful situation? And engaging in alcohol in that way is doing ourselves an extreme disservice, because we're not allowing ourselves to feel. It's not comfort and ease. The social lubricant is a mirage. It's a total mirage. If you're not feeling why you're anxious in the first place, then how are you ever going to surmount that? So I implore us all to turn the mirror on ourselves and try to understand, how do I really achieve self-acceptance? How do I show up as my authentic self? And how do I embrace others as themselves as well? And I think where psychedelics come in is that if you've ever experienced a psychedelic that's an empathogen, that's heart-opening, like MDMA, for example, you felt this light and this happiness and this love emerge from a shadow. And you felt what it's like to trust yourself and to break patterns that are no longer serving you, and you feel confident showing up as your authentic self. And not only that, but when you see someone who's different from you, you're not going to have the insecure reaction to close your heart to them. You will embrace them for who they are, and you'll continue to cultivate a group of people who resonate with you on that level, who embody that energy and that philosophy. And the more you cultivate people like that in your circle, the more powerful it is. You're amplifying all of it. And I think that once you've experienced a heart-opening psychedelic, you then learn that that power, that ability lives inside of you, and that you can replicate it throughout your entire life. Get high on your own supply, right? And so I think that psychedelics can be an amazing ally in this context. And for sex, I mean, using sex in the context of, using alcohol in the context of sex, again, can be used as this veil to disassociate, to feel more comfortable. But if you're not comfortable in the first place, then maybe you shouldn't be there in the first place, right? And being able to accept that truth is a huge step. And using psychedelics, like Kat was mentioning in sex, is not just about the pleasure, the orgasm, getting her off, getting him off. By going deep with the partner, by building trust, by engaging in other activities that deepen that relationship, you can ultimately find more pleasure because you've reached this higher realm. So I love champagne. I will always love champagne. Right? And tequila's a plant medicine. There you go. But why are you consuming? What is your intention, right? I'm not saying stop all the drinking, psychedelics for everyone. Yes, psychedelics for everyone. But what is your intention when you are engaging in alcohol? Turn that mirror onto yourself.
Really well said. Kat, did you want to add to that?
Sure do. Yes, I do.
Well, excellent.
Okay, so first of all, that was beautifully said. So beautifully said. And I believe that, again, psychedelics can give us these reference points that help us to now know where we may be going. I think that sex in and of itself is very psychedelic. The deeper we get into presence with what comes up in sex, you will notice the parts of you that are afraid, or the parts of you that shut down, or the parts of us that dissociate a little bit, or the parts of us that start doing the to-do list or the grocery list when we're in bed with somebody. Never happened to me before. and yet many of us don't know, we've never had that experience, so we don't know what we're looking for in order to get there. And so to speak to what Stephanie was saying, we can have the experience of deeper connection, or with MDMA, we fall into this experience of sex as intimate and connective. It's a party in here.
No, it's
No, it's not a party.
Oh, it's not.
funny.
No. We need help. We need help. We need
Okay.
somebody with medical assistance.
We need medical assistance.
Yes.
Jacob?
Goes in and out.
Lay her down. Yeah, we're getting her table for her. Lay her down now.
Chiquiye and so chiquiye pano yolo pampanit mis lots of love pampanit mis lots of love chiquiyo chino yo. Chiquiye and so chiquiye pano yolo and then it means lots of love and then it means lots of love chiquino. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you.
That song means, and now what? Take this flower with you. I give it to you with my heart. I give it to you with my heart. With my whole heart. And yeah, just praying sweetness and protection over a relative who just fell. And thank you for this beautiful team. Can we give some love to our beautiful team for acting so quickly and gracefully? And thank you.
All right.
Yeah, give me just a moment to connect with my thought. Okay, so speaking to these reference points. So since September, I've been collecting anecdotal data from individuals around sex and psychedelics because there aren't that much academic research on psychedelics. And then you add sex in there, and there's even less. So I've been working to collect people's experiences and see what sort of themes that we're seeing from that. I have over 700 responses at this point, and I have been seeing themes of the moving away from performance, or psychedelics teaching them to step away from the performance aspect of it and to drop into more of the pleasure aspect of it, that they feel a deeper connection both in their own bodies and then also with their partners, a connection with self-compassion as well as compassion for their partner, and that's really important. I want to touch on that. But then also how sex can be an energetic experience. So it's not just about the bodies, but it can be this movement of subtle energy that turns into greater amounts of energy. And a lot of that we can also see this ability to both stimulate the nervous system while also being able to relax the body so that energy can flow. You know, this whether we want to call it energy, life force energy, nervous system energy, you know, all of that being able to help us to dissolve into sex more effectively. So the interesting part around the self-compassion, again, there's so much shame around sex that inhibits us from being in our authentic expression, like Stephanie said so well. And for us to be able to look at any of that requires a level of being able to hold ourselves and to look with curiosity and self-compassion. And so to transform some of these shames for more authentic, expressive selves, that's a key piece. Now, self-compassion and self-love are oftentimes these really big concepts that fit really nicely on memes that we follow on Instagram. But to actually experience it may be hard for many of us. There's so many steps in order to experience that. I remember the very first ayahuasca ceremony I had ever done. I went into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror, and I just got caught up in the absolute adorableness of myself.
You are cute.
Thank you. My hands were cupping my baby cheeks, and I was looking deep into my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so cute. And now, mind you, I had been a therapist at this point for a few years, and I was teaching people about self-love, but this was the first time that I fully embodied or fully understood the embodiment of what that actually meant. Because before, it was an intellectual concept. You know, you do the affirmations, and you say, I love myself, you know, and you're so pretty, right? And you look in the mirror, and that's an important practice. But this was like, oh, now I know what I'm looking for. Now I know what I'm actually teaching people to do. Oh, this is hard shit. But it gave me a reference point that now I could do the practices and know where I was going with that. Like, what was I trying to get back to? And that integration piece is really important. You know, take a psychedelics in sex and have a great time in sex. But if you take that experience and then you contemplate that and you integrate your sex with MDMA or LSD, you can learn a lot from that experience to now make your everyday sex life so much more magnetic and powerful. I don't know, how many of you, and maybe the two of you, I grew up with or maybe not grew up, but maybe in my 20s, that if you had sex on MDMA, it would ruin your sex life. Do you remember that? Yeah, that sex is never going to be the same again.
Yeah, that's not true.
Or that it'd be the best sex.
Yeah, and then regular sex wouldn't even happen again. Yeah. You're like, oh, well, I can't do it because I have to always be on MDMA.
Yeah. But the way that we can transform that to make all your sex life amazing is to take what you learn there and then implement that. Because it doesn't just have to happen in that one experience, it can happen throughout. In Tantra, we have this experience called transfiguration. And it's when we transform something into the divine, whether it's the other person or it's ourselves. And that's how sex, imagine making love to divine. Like, oh, it's gonna be good. And you see yourself as divine, I'm gonna show up as a sex god, So it's gonna transform the way you touch them, the way you allow touch to reach you too. In psychedelics, it can help us to connect with that sex god feeling. It can help us to connect with that, again, self-compassion, that self-love feeling, and it can transform, how we show up. Now you're a sex god for life.
Kat, I want to talk to you a little bit about, you talked about MDMA, you talked about LSD. Now, just because MDMA on a sexual experience can be a really intimate, beautiful time, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the most, the best for performance necessarily. And I think the thing that I think everybody kind of wants to know is like, what are some of the best psychedelics that you've seen anecdotally, that you've heard, for arousal and intimacy, and then what's actually good for the actual act of sex? Which ones are seem to work a little better in those frameworks?
Yeah. And of course the two of you jump in here because I know you got some stories too. And I think it comes back to, again, redefining what sex is. So if stimulants, things like MDMA, help you to connect with the intimate aspect, the pleasure aspect. So for clients who have never who have a difficult time with being in their body, or due to trauma, they have a difficult time with pleasure, being able to relax in their body in order to feel pleasure. They've shared with me that MDMA and psilocybin were both really helpful for them to be able to connect with pleasure again. However, any of these stimulants is also going to impact your ability to have ejaculation. So we're talking again about the definition of sex being more penetration focused, more genital focused, and you might have a difficult time with keeping it up, or you might have a difficult time with having an ejaculation or having genital orgasms, and that's because a stimulant has an impact on your parasympathetic system, and your parasympathetic system is necessary for that orgasm or for that ejaculation. So just keep that in mind. You know, readjust your idea of what it is that might happen in that experience. Again, sex can be so much more than just that. Ketamine is a beautiful one. It's what I work with clinically in the office, and as it relates to sex, you know, it lifts the heaviness of depression, it lifts the anxiety. At lower doses, it can be a powerful way for us to be able to be in the body without some of the chronic pain or the depression or the anxiety that weighs us down and impacts. Higher doses, wouldn't suggest it. You might shoot off into another stratosphere and you don't even know where your partner is, you don't know where your dick is, you don't know, like, you just don't know. So, you know, it just, you know, just keeping that in mind too with ketamine, it's a dose, it's just dose dependent. Ketamine's a beautiful one for having different experiences depending on your dose. But I see them as more ethereal aspects of sexuality. You know, it lifts that body. It is a dissociator, but I also believe it dissociates us from the actual dissociation, so we can be with the body and the pleasure more effectively. I've experienced I've been studying Tantra for about 15 years, about 14 years, and I see some of the same states that I've reached in Tantra in these experiences of psychedelics, especially mushrooms, and mushrooms with MDMA. You know, beautiful. LSD. I think Annie Sprinkle wrote this really incredible, groundbreaking article years ago. And Annie Sprinkle is a sex educator and a sex worker. And she shared about her experiences with psychedelics and sex, especially with LSD. And for her, it was monumental. You know, helped her to open the body and experience sex as this transcendent, energetic experience. And I would agree, if there isn't too much psychological matter getting in the way, because with any of these substances, you know, it's a balance, right, of being able to be in the body and be with the energy of it, and all the shit that we've been shoving in the background of our mind now coming forward, being like, you gotta look at this now and deal with this now, right? That's not super sexy. So I do hear from people that they say, you know, mushrooms don't make them sexy. They just want to stay introverted in their head and work on things. I get it. And with some practices that I'm going to share with you later, we actually can bring it out of the head and into the body. Just again, as long as you can find your body.
Well said. Michaela, Steph, any favorites before we move on to another question?
So yeah, putting the plant back in plant medicine I think is really interesting and important. There's a bit of an interesting separation between like the hierarchy of like cool natural substances. There's like entheogens at the top and things that will like trip you out at the top, and then like the humble chamomile at the bottom. Shout out to my herbalism baddies for understanding what that meant. But you know, I come from a tradition of womb care that centers practices that care directly for the womb with the assistance of plants. And what I've learned in like my time within the herbalism space is that plants inherently have a godlike quality to them. Each and every one of them, from the rose to the lavender to the holy basil and other incredible adaptogens and nervine plants that can invite a lot of support, just like the other entheogens can. And so I've had incredible experiences with this particular technique of bringing plants into the body called yoni steaming. Raise your hand if you've ever heard about a yoni steam before. Okay, like that's more than most crowds. That's awesome. So I'm really grateful at Santa Barbara, right? But I'm really grateful to hear that more people are learning about this practice, because it's like one of the only times we ever really get penetrated by plants and have like intimate experiences with plants. And I have some dear friends and teachers that have studied like ancestral European herbalism ways and have like focused a lot of their study in the flying ointments. Has anyone heard about what a flying ointment is? Cool, so some of my witches in the house. So the witches on broomsticks kind of motif as a symbol in our culture is based in a real practice of like cooking down entheogenic plants or plants of any kind and suspending them in a fat or an oil and making a lubricant by which they adorn their sticks and broomstick corners and bedposts and put them between their legs. So they dress like these phallic symbols, shape figures in their home, and rub it inside of their body. So they're being penetrated by entheogenic plants and then receiving powerful experiences by ingesting them through their, mucous membranes, which is really fascinating and super cool. Like, can you boof mushrooms? Like, I guess you can in this case, if they're suspended in a fat. So I've had incredible experiences with yoni steaming specific plants that are really aphroditic. Roses, lavender, holy basil, lemon balm. I have a lemon balm tincture upstairs, motherwort, and the steam brings volatile oils into the thin membranes of your reproductive system. And in a kind of like soft ritual type of way, candles on like the humble plant kingdom and like all of the wonderful technology that is, and of course like self-pleasure as part of a sex and psychedelic experience too. Thank you.
When you were talking about cannabis and sex, I just remember like I used to smoke a lot and I would smoke too much, talking about dose, and I would literally be having sex and I would be like, what am I doing? I would be completely gone, be like, I'm feeling complete ecstasy but having no idea what's going on. Anyway, dose, guys, okay? That's just a story about dosage. Steph, we have time for 2 more questions. So Steph, I want to talk to you a little bit about hormones and psychedelics. Things like PMS, postpartum, cortisol. What can you tell us that you're seeing about how psychedelics can actually affect our hormonal system? Because as we know, without that imbalance, again, that's going to affect our sexual function.
So, for the ladies, we're at a little bit of an advantage because we have lots of estrogen. And estrogen has the power to enhance not just the sexual experience, but the psychedelic experience. When there's a rise in estrogen during a part of our menstrual cycle, there are more receptors readily available, more binding sites for serotonin, which amplifies the effect of a serotonin-forward psychedelic, like your classical psychedelics, MDMA, LSD, psilocybin, etc. So what we're finding is that depending on where women are in their cycles, there could be a more powerful psychedelic experience. And this also plays in not just for journeys, but for microdosing as well. Microdosers in the crowd, yeah. So this is something that's really interesting that we should pay attention to, because not only does the dose of our microdose kind of change depending on how long we've been on a protocol, but have you maybe ever noticed that one day you'll take the same dose that you did 2 days ago and you're seeing maybe not super clearly, or you're feeling a little wonky, and that's very hormonally dependent. It's dependent on your state of mind as well, your mood, maybe what you ate, but definitely for women, estrogen is playing a role. And for PMS, it's not fun. Obviously, our hormones tend to change throughout life, whether it's motivated by an event like pregnancy or menopause, but also sometimes things change on a dime. I remember I was coasting, and then all of a sudden it was PMS, it was headaches, it was a cyclical acne, and I don't really know what shifted, and I didn't want to go on some crazy birth control pill that was going to spike my estrogen and cause a bunch of other symptoms. And so I sought out a functional medicine specialist, and she put me on a blend of herbs. So going back to the plant, 100% going back to earth. And I was so skeptical. I was like, this is not gonna work, but it did. And I have to tip my hat to ginseng, to poria, which is a wood-eating fungus, to ginkgo biloba, to licorice root, to mint, to ginger. All of these diuretics, anti-inflammatories, they really did help. And so I really did start to investigate a little bit more about all of these kinds of herbs and these relationships with females and hormones. And something that I wanted to mention as well is in office and clinic right now, in practice, we're using ketamine. And ketamine actually can increase estrogen levels, and it also increases our glutamate levels, which gives us an antidepressant effect. And so there are women that are seeking a little bit of support in ketamine therapy to manage the symptoms of PMS or PMDD, which is a more severe disorder, but similar to PMS. Remind me what else you asked me?
I mean, just.
I feel like I can keep going, but that's perfect. I mean, it's cortisol levels. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, not a lot about men's hormones and psychedelics. Most of the data that we're seeing shows that, psychedelics can negatively impact, libido for men, or make it difficult to achieve orgasm or sustain an erection. But cortisol is a hormone that ties well into sex and mood and our well-being and our desire. And so that's our stress hormone. And so this is for men and women, but we want to be able to manage those levels, and on a day-to-day we live such fast-paced lives, like not surprised if our cortisol levels are going up and down. If we're coffee drinkers, that's also something that will affect our cortisol levels. So, I think it's important to have a good idea of, what is happening in our bodies, and to seek, answers that maybe aren't rooted in traditional medicine, because here in the Western Hemisphere, we call them alternatives, but in the rest of the world, they're not, There are mushrooms and plants that are used in mainstream treatments for all sorts of afflictions, and here they've been kind of cast aside and seen as alternatives, or just things that may not really have as much power. But, shout out to the ergot mushroom.
Yes. So, our final question, I think we have to end with a juicy one, right? I think we gotta go there, Kat. Can you give us some tools, some practices, some things that we should maybe take into the bedroom at some point?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Wow, okay. When we're going into a psychedelic experience, really, ultimately, you can take this into the bedroom without a psychedelic as well, but we hold all of the tools that we need to make something an erotic experience inside of ourselves already. So what Stephanie had said earlier, using intention, first of all, I have the intention of going into this experience as an erotic experience, to touch into my eroticism, into my pleasure, whatever it is that you're exploring, to help to anchor you of where you're going. Then, using the tools of your breath, the sound that you make, the movement of your body, the visualization, and the touch that you have, is what will transform this experience from being a heady cerebral experience and bring it into your body for an erotic experience. Our breath, if Our breath will transform your physiological state. You know, by slowing down your breath versus quickening your breath, you can have two different experiences. By breathing in and out of your nose versus breathing in and out of your mouth, you will have two different experiences. You can try it right now. Sound. Sound vibration helps to break up stagnancy in our body, but it also stimulates the vagus nerve, which is associated with the parasympathetic aspect of our nervous system. And it branches all the way down into our gut and can stimulate the genitals. So for us who have wombs, the cervix, and for men, the nice genitals. That can help with orgasm. Different types of texture of sound, different pitches. You can move sound by having a lower sound, like a guttural sound, to work in more of your gut. And then you can move the pitch up through your body and feel how that impacts your body. So higher pitches versus lower pitches. Texture, the texture being more of the attitude of the sound. So like clicks or hums or moans versus purring versus, I love the sound of Z, like zzz or shh. And noticing how these different textures will impact the way that you feel in your body. Movement. I see some of the best forms of movement being circles to both activate, and then spirals to what we call sublimate or move the energy, draw the energy up. So circulating into the hips and then really allowing the whole spine to fall into a spiral, or undulating the spine, meaning allow it to move forward and back like a snake. You know, these are, like what Michaela said, primal movements. Drops us into this animal, this human animal, you called it, right? Yeah, I love that.
Instinctive.
Yeah. So it's really just inviting what is so natural and allowing that to spiral for us. Visualization. You know, visualizing. I like to visualize. I had another vision just popped up in my head. I'll share it with you in a moment. But visualizing a ball of white light in your genitals, or pulsations. You know, visualizing pulsations happening and allowing your body to fall into rhythm with that. You know, and where your attention flows, your energy can go. You know, we can open ourselves up. Attention in your genitals locally can bring you there into that experience. Then you can also expand your attention globally and bring your experience into your entire body as it relates with this. The image that I'll tell you, it was it was a juicy apple that was dripped in honey, and the honey just running off of the apple onto, I don't know where it was going, but you know, even just like honey, the thought of honey always turns me on because it's thick and it just runs and it's drippy, and I don't know how many of you turned on right now. Over in the back. And like, I love visualizing this honey pot, like, you know, like my honey pot, and I'm stirring it, and I'm stirring the energy down there, and then I'm allowing, you know, I'm like moving like honey, which allows me to drop into this space that's slower, like Michaela was saying, this slowness, sensualness. And then also touch, you know, where we touch our body also helps to open the sensory receptors so that we can feel in those areas. So many women that I work with who, I ask them about their breasts, the relationship with their breasts, and they're like, oh yeah, that's not sensitive, I don't go there. Or I freak out when my partner touches my nipples, and I don't like that. Well, if we start, and many of us, that's because we have grown up with negative messages around our breasts, or we've had unwanted attention, or, you know, and we just don't touch them anymore. We touch them to put on a shirt and that's it. But that desensitizes our experience, and we're no longer present to it. Our breasts have the ability to be orgasmic, but only when we take the time to touch them. And touch them with presence, and touch them with affection and tenderness and sensuality. And it can, like, your whole body can turn alive. So those tools where I started with intention, breath, sound, movement, visualization, and touch.
Thank you so much. Can you please give these ladies a round of applause? Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are out of time right now, but I encourage everyone to come up and speak to them. They're going to be here. If you have specific questions that you want to come up and talk to them, please feel free. Thank you both, all three of you.
You don't mind? I don't want to.
And we'll share how you can find us. So you can find me at sexloveyoga.com. You can also follow me on Instagram for hilarious content and great memes on Fridays at sexloveyoga.
Thank you. Michaela?
I will be physically upstairs. I have a lot of my creations and really beautiful indigenous beadwork with mushroom. That's very hard to find, right up there in the bird's nest. And yeah, come drop in, talk to me. Let's connect with plants. I have all kinds of wonderful medicines there, like herbal contraception medicines and things like that. So would love to talk to the conscious contraception curious. And my work is centered in what's called mush womb consciousness, where being a cyclical body interacts with entheogenic life, and that touches motherhood, being a sacred hoe, as we mentioned before, and yeah, being a medicine woman as well, and that's an important part of my life. So you can find me online if you look up Mush Womb, W-O-M-B, Mush Womb, you'll find all my shit. So find me there. Thank you so much for your attention and your time.
Steph? You can find me at beyondthebench.life, and that's just where you'll be able to find all the different things I'm working on, from research to music to community building. But I'd love to talk with you tonight, so feel free to come find me and continue the conversation. And if you are interested in more psychedelic content, check out Trip on This Podcast. It's on all of your podcast platforms. It's on YouTube. That's where I interview thought leaders and just interesting characters on the psychedelic journey. It's a lot of fun. I'm also at Life with Kat Walsh on all socials, and I also post some sometimes ridiculous videos. So, ladies, thank you all so much. District 216, thank you so much for hosting us. Let's get this party started now, all right? Is everyone hungry? Okay, food's coming up.
So